Well, hey everyone. Good morning from Arizona. Welcome. Let me just first say thank you all for joining, and thanks for the continued donation for our cause, Riding Across America, for veterans affected by COVID-19 in support of Wounded Warrior Project. Once again, I'm Dave Paramore. I'm just kind of easing into the day this morning. We're out here on Old Highway 80. Wanted to let that truck go by. Yesterday was an epic day. We had something I haven't seen in my 20 plus years, 21, 22 years of cycling. Obviously I'm heading east, but we had a consistent wind, tailwind that ranged from 30 miles an hour with gusts up to 40 directly from the west. So I got pushed for a grand total of 118 miles from Yuma Proving Ground in the morning. I was out there about 9 hours, but it was well worth it. Kind of took the risk. I had a late lunch and decided, should I go 50 more miles? And well, I'm glad I did, because it was just under 3 hours to cover 50, about 2:45. And if I would have waited till today, that would have been a 5-hour ride. So I'm glad I did. I'm heading from Gila Bend up to west side of Phoenix today is the goal. And then into Tempe tomorrow. We are, after that, I spent about an hour and a half this morning on the phone with the great folks at Maricopa County Parks and Rec and U.S. Park Service. They're just amazing people, very, very, very helpful. But the reason I was calling them is because after tomorrow it gets very remote, very fast, with a lot more climbing. To put it in perspective, I'm about 700 feet here, elevation. And over the next week or two, I have to climb up to about 8,500 feet in New Mexico, with several ups and downs between here and there. Several climbs up to 4,000, 5,000, and then back down, and then back up. And it's a lot of remote territory into Tonto National Forest, and be kind of a side of the road camping kind of thing, and filtering water. And they gave me some great tips on kind of where to camp and water sources and things of that nature. So all that to say, I'm glad you joined us. We're going to enjoy today and tomorrow where we have some network. I just can't guarantee we're going to have network connectivity once I get out into the National Park Service area. With that, welcome John, our moderator in the background. I've got him on the phone today because our Discord channel just wasn't sure that in this remote area I'd be able to kind of maintain a good dialogue with him. So he's in my ear on the phone, and he'll be moderating the chat channel. As I said, we're at 12,777 fundraising so far dollars, and thank you for that. With our goal of $100,000, so we got a little over 2 months to meet that as I ride across America. John, anything from the chat that I can talk about? Greg saying good morning. All right, good morning, Greg. Yeah, the question on South Phoenix, and the question from Shirley, thanks for the question. So about a month before I started riding, we who subscribe to the Adventure Cycling Association, the ACA, got an email about a detour. Normally you come in from the north side of Phoenix, but there was an email that came to us, I guess out of Brawley, California. There was some concern about the increase in commercial traffic and recreational vehicle traffic on some of those windy roads through the desert there. And so instead they issued a detour that sent us a southern route from El Centro. And so that took us down to Yuma and then took us to across the Sonora Desert to Gila Bend, which is where I just left. So that was the reason. We pick up the ACA printed maps. I'll pick those back up tomorrow in Peoria. And then so Peoria, which is on the northwest side of Phoenix, then I head southeast into Tempe. So hopefully that helps. Great question. So Rich is wishing he was following me in a Porsche. Rich, I wish you were following me in a Porsche too. I was leapfrogging with some riders yesterday. You may have seen them briefly on camera. They described themselves as three grannies and a dude. And the dude was the support vehicle. And so they were just riding. I say just riding, but they were riding. And the support vehicle had all their equipment. So Rich, I invite you anytime. Come find me and lighten this load a little bit. That'd be great. Get home to St. Augustine sooner. So Greg's asking a question about a vehicle following. So no vehicle following. This is a self-supported ride for a couple of reasons. One, Dust Off Technologies. We've got a great team that we've been working remotely in perpetuity, and especially with the pandemic. So we are very adept at working remotely, and I'm working remotely even now. I've been on several conference calls this morning, even before I started, and I'll be on throughout the day after this call. So we have the team from the technology perspective that's supporting the ride. And yeah, so we also wanted to have minimal impact on local communities. We wanted to make sure that especially even though it looks like there's light at the end of the tunnel in the pandemic, just didn't want to bring a lot of folks in, especially some of these small communities. So I'm self-supported. Paul asked a good question. Great to hear from you again, Paul. His question is about ACA touring motorcycles. I would imagine, I've seen some Harleys and others. I would call, having spent time in Europe, over there in Europe, there's a lot of, if you've ever watched the Tour de France and the motorcycles that have the camera people on them, something like a BMW motorcycle with side, instead of panniers, it's more of a cargo, I'll call it a cargo box on the side. Haven't seen any of those. I've seen some Harleys, but they kind of seem local. But who knows? Yeah, it's bike week. Wow, bike week already back east. Hope you're enjoying that, Paul. And question for Paul. I know that I mentioned earlier what a great sailor he and Dawn are, and they're getting ready to, I would imagine, head north here shortly. And are they bringing their boat back down, sailboat, this fall? Be a question back for Paul. So Shirley's asking on the terrain if it's going to be flat or climbing. It's just a kind of something like this. I think Phoenix, somebody can check me on it on Google, is about maybe a little over 1,000 feet. So climbed from 700 to 1,000, a couple 100-foot climb. So it shouldn't be much. It's just a real gradual climb today. Basically flat. Yeah, so what I noticed a lot, and you see it off to the right now, is huge solar farms out here generating renewable energy, and a lot of irrigation. So Shirley would know that, and Randy would know that. Idaho and out west, water rights are a big deal. We take a lot of that for granted on the East Coast. But so you see here, I'm not sure exactly what they farm here, but we got some on the left. Who's asking? So, question on the weather. It's a lot cooler today. I guess that windstorm kind of blew through and temperatures dropped a little bit. It was in the 40s this morning. I took off just before, about 9:45 local, and it's in the low 50s now. Friday morning, they're expecting some rain showers in the morning, but clearing up in the afternoon. Dust off 421, my good friend Kyle. He wasn't here to defend himself yesterday because I was talking about him. He's a good friend. We were kind of exchanging camaraderie a few weeks ago, and I told the Everest story. Kyle's the guy who, Dust Off 421 is the rider who wants to do the Everest, and I mentioned what that was yesterday. So it's kind of become I'll call it a thing. It may have been a thing before I knew about it, but over the last year or so, especially during the pandemic, a lot of professional riders and amateur riders, for social distance reasons and can't do group rides, kind of picked up on this idea of riding a continuous ride that would, in elevation, equal the height of Mount Everest. So that would be 27,000 plus feet. And Kyle will correct me on it, but I think pros can do it in 8 hours or under, continuous. Now what that means is you have to find a route that you're basically doing laps. So you're climbing for a mile or two, and then you're descending like a stone to get to your start point, and then just continuously climbing until your elevation reaches 27,000 feet. Amateurs, someone like Kyle could probably do that in less than 20 hours. And so kudos to him, but I had to clarify that he wasn't carrying a trailer or anything. Then he was riding a 14-pound bike. I just wanted to make sure we had that clarification. But yeah, I was really fortunate yesterday. I was joking with myself. I said, Self, I rode that last 50 after I'd been riding for 6 hours in better time than I did the half Ironman leg back at the peak of my fitness 20 years ago. But I had a little, well, parentheses, a lot of help from wind. It was a great day. Thanks for joining Dust Off 421. Ooh, wow. 29,000 feet, amazing. No, my hat's off, that's amazing. He's a beast. I think, so John's question on the elevation, I mean, probably total for sure, because there's a lot of ups and downs. Because once I leave Tempe, it basically goes up immediately. And there's a climb up to 2,500 feet, and then it comes down to 1,000, then we go up to 4,500, then we come back down. Then you climb again, and then you stay at 4,000, and then you climb up to Emery Pass, which is, I want to say 83 or 8,500 feet in New Mexico, and then you come down to 4,000 feet in El Paso. So when you combine all the ups and downs, I'd say easily 29,000, but I have 3,200 miles, so it's not, it might spread out. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just easing into the day, so Dust Off 421 will appreciate this. It kind of feels like now I'm getting appreciation of the big stage races like Grand Tours, like Tour de France and Tour of Italy and Tour of Spain, where you kind of go from town to town and you're there one night. You get there late in the day, you shove down dinner and crash in bed and wake up and do it again. Yeah, it's so Mom's on today. Welcome again. One thing it's like this. Yesterday was a unicorn. For anybody who's ridden a bike would know that's a once in a lifetime opportunity to get that kind of distance with the weight I'm carrying in that short a time. But it's one thing out here is, and it's kind of like drawing my experience training for Ironman and other long events, that you have patches of success, but you have a lot of patches where you go through that are just really potentially demoralizing. And so you don't want to get too high on the highs, because the lows are coming. And Lord knows I've already had a 12-mile day in the mountains of California where I cut it off at noon. I just couldn't go anymore. I was walking too much. But as I said, I lost 13 pounds on my rest day, sent 2 boxes home. And before that, while I was in the California mountains, I sent 5 more pounds home. So I think I'm down a total of 18 pounds, but part of that is strategy, because what I have coming up is lots of long mountainous stretches where there's no services. So I'm gonna have to pack a lot of water on the trailer, 2-3 gallons of water, and water adds up pretty quick in terms of weight. TIA Patrol, welcome, welcome. So John's asking a question on distance. I would, in terms of yesterday, was it like the single longest day? Probably close. Just for perspective, the Ironman bike itself is 112 miles. So I kind of joke when somebody says you've done the Ironman, they get their brain wrapped around the marathon, but you know, just potentially ignoring the 2.4 mile swim and the 112 mile bike. So 112 miles on a bike, if you're in peak fitness as an amateur, is probably 6 hours, 5.5 to 6 hours of riding. And I was out there yesterday, even with the tailwinds, but including rest stops, I was out there 9 hours. So yeah, distance is relative, I think, in this type of thing. It's more about time in the saddle, because you only have so many matches in the box, as I learned from a European rider. You don't want to burn out to all your matches too quickly. You want to make sure that pacing is important. Got a nice dairy farm up here on the right, it looks like. More farming on the left. It's a fast-moving truck. Yeah, it looks like cattle, if I can see out in the distance. As I said, I'm just kind of easing in the day, and I think on tap today is 50 plus miles, but today that's a 5-hour day, right? So 5, 6, probably 6 hours, including stops. So I don't want to hammer out intense miles too early, so I figured we would just stream out of the gate and call this the rolling start. So Rich's question on shoulder on this road. This is common for this area. I'm on old Highway 80, but as you can see, I probably had 3 cars pass. And the road surface here is good. We didn't stream this on Saturday, but after that live interview and then the stream we did after that, I hit the worst road I've been on to date, and it was on a side road like this, and it was just, I'd say, chip seal that had been probably installed 40 years ago, maybe, I would estimate, and hadn't been maintained, and it was just very difficult riding. It was very similar to cobblestones in northern France and Belgium, and so I was kind of weaving between the crown of the road, the middle of the road, and the side of the road just to find a smooth surface. But here, I've got a mirror on my helmet, actually on my glasses, so I see what's coming behind me, and if I have to, I can take an evasive maneuver off to the gravel on the right, although that's not optimal, but so far so good. People are pretty respectful. What I find is, since this is a published route, that a lot of the locals kind of just know that this is the pilgrimage of Southern Tier cyclists along this route. Like right now, it's all timing, right? I got a truck coming up my tail right now. Oh, he's turning. It's timing. Kyle will know this, you know. It's like if somebody's on your tail and then oncoming traffic hits you simultaneously, you know, then you got to be concerned. But so far, so good. Yeah, would it help if I tilt the camera up or? Yeah, gotcha. John's talking about the, you know, just trying to get the camera angle. I gotta get Rich's help on that. Like, should I tilt it up or? Because here comes some motorcyclists. There you go. There you go. There's some Harleys out there. They're probably on their way to Bike Week. The way digital media works and the streaming is, you know, we're just trying to process the images and move them through a 720p pipe to your computer screen. No, as the roads I've been on, this is among the best. Very, very nice, which just probably explains why those Harleys went by. Very scenic part of the Southwest. I'll be, like I said, yeah, go ahead. So Shirley's got an interesting question about passing slow-moving vehicles. So, not really, for obvious reasons. I'm probably the slowest one out here. But on the interstate yesterday, there was a sheriff, or I guess it would be a state trooper, had someone pulled over on the interstate in the bike lane, and on the left side of the shoulder were rumble strips, and of course, you know, just a rapid succession of fast-moving traffic. So it was a little tricky getting around that, but it worked out. It wasn't a problem. You know, and sometimes you'll see cars parked on the side of the road, and then you've got to just kind of get around them in a way, especially in the heavily trafficked area. Well, let's take care of a little business here while we're chatting. Like I said, we're up to 12,777 on the meter, thereabouts, in terms of donations to Wounded Warrior Project. We've had several corporate donations. We certainly invite folks who are in industry to participate in this journey. We tested it out yesterday. John and I had some lessons learned on how to proceed, but what we're going to do is continue live interviews. And for corporate sponsors, we could put you on live here to talk about your organization. And especially as we gain traction, I'm supposed to do another live interview with Phoenix Media as early as tomorrow morning. So that this audience is going to continue to grow as we ride across America. So get your industries involved. We'll get you on camera here, and or at least on audio, to talk about your organization and how you support veterans and some of the impacts that COVID-19 has had on you and your organization and what you've been doing for pandemic response. So we're kind of doing a rolling podcast. What we're going to do, yesterday John and I did a test, but in the future we'll have John or one of our other moderators on the audio channel with me, because my audio is breaking up on that channel. And he'll kind of help facilitate the conversation with our guests. So, foot stomping here. Just would love to have our industry partners out there join the conversation and participate. Would love to have you on camera here on the live stream. I saw my first tumbleweed yesterday. I just chuckled. Reminded me of Warner Brothers cartoons growing up. And the good news was it was going in my direction, so I was happy. Yeah. How long we've been streaming, John? Okay, so 40 minutes total with the timer. Yeah, John's noticing that we've got some nice terrain, and you can see very clearly what is farmed and what's not. On the right is not, and on the left is. And obviously it's all about water, right? The irrigation, water rights. Looks like I'm passing a small airport on the left. I don't know if you probably can't see it, but there's a plane coming down. Maybe there's some crop dusting or something, who knows. So Rich is asking if the tumbleweed passed me. Yeah, it was funny. When I saw it, it's like it was going almost as fast as I was. It was funny. Oh, that plane, you know what that plane looks like is almost one of those, what do they call them, the racing, I'm just going to guess, it almost looks like a high performance plane. Maybe it's a crop duster, who knows. It's almost like it's kind of doing, steep banks. I think out west here they have air races. Looks like he's kind of training for that. I'm sure you can't see it, it's just out of view, but there's a solar panel farm on the left, and just at about my 10 o'clock, see a plane off to the left. It looks like he's banking now, kind of doing some steep turns. Interesting. Yeah, just off. Oh well. It's entertaining me anyway. So Shirley's thanking again, and thank you all for joining. This is a beautiful day. Just kind of give you a perspective on the wind yesterday on one of my quick roadside stops to kind of refill water bottles and get some nutrition from the back to the front. And I turned sideways to kind of fill the water bottle, and the wind almost blew my helmet off my head. Then I got back on the bike, and I took 2 pedal strokes, and it started pushing me again. Yeah, it was a unicorn day for sure. I mean, that doesn't diminish the 9 hours in the saddle for sure, but it was well worth the risk. That was one of the segments I was most concerned about, because as I said, there was that 50-mile stretch where there's no services. So I would have come off a camping day on the interstate for 50 miles and no service, and that would normally be a 5-hour day. And so but thanks to the wind, yesterday I was less than 3, and it just went by like a flash. I looked down at one point, and I had run out of gears. I was cruising along at 29 miles an hour. Yep. Looks like I got a turn come up here in less than a mile. Well, John, maybe we could start wrapping up for the day. I'm gonna have to start navigating pretty hard after this, I think, and I want to pay attention. Yeah, so tomorrow we should be in a lot more urban territory. Like I said, I should start just west of Phoenix and head north to Peoria, and then turn southeast to Tempe. Goal tomorrow night is to stay near Tempe. Then we'll do a weather check and kind of see what it's like, because probably for the next week I'll be tent camping in the mountains. So just kind of preparing you all that there may be a big gap between streams after tomorrow, just because of the one of the main reasons I won't have any power. The battery pack only lasts so long, and I've got to conserve that to charge my phone. There won't be any power source out there for quite a while, so probably, from Friday through next week, it's going to be intermittent streaming. But you can still follow us on Instagram, your social channels, to the extent that I have at least some signal out there. But we may have a live interview tomorrow morning with Phoenix Media TV station. I'll know about that later today. And then head southeast to Tempe. But once again, thanks for joining the journey. got to start beating up my industry partners to help continue to sponsor this event right across America for wounded warriors affected by COVID-19. And I'm looking ahead to get to El Paso eventually, to William Beaumont Medical Center and Fort Bliss. Got some friends there and connect with them. Have hopefully some interviews with them as well. So, all right, well, that's it for today. I got a turn coming up here at Woods Road. Then I've got some navigation I got to do, so. I think that's it for today, John.